indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the current agenda?
So moved, Ralph.
Second, Mary.
Discussion?
Mary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 20th, 2020?
So moved, Melissa.
Second, Dave.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't there.
Any nays? All right, we have a presentation this evening from, let's see here, I don't have a name here.
Her name is Jennifer Carius, and I don't see her in the meeting yet, although she joined about 20 minutes ago to test it out and said she would be back at 6. So we could wait for her for a minute or two, or we could circle back, I suppose.
As well.
Oh, she just joined.
Oh.
She just joined.
All right.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Jennifer will be able to share hers.
Okay.
Jennifer, can you hear us? It looks like your microphone is muted right now.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Good to meet you all. Thanks for having me. Shall I jump into the presentation, Steve, or
Yes.
do you need to wrap up?
Nope, we're ready for you.
Oh, okay. Well, here's your friendly census reminder, everybody. And I'm a partnership specialist, aim to have you think along and perhaps help, especially in the age of COVID, to get people responding, especially in some of the lower response areas. And this will be the overview for you, so you can speak to others about it and maybe team up with me in one manner or another. So I will, and I'm actually filling in for a colleague who represents Seneca, but I'm happy to work with you as well. My colleague Michael, and I have another colleague, Tina. She comes from up north, and I'm in Tompkins as well. So wait, do I want them to observe my entire screen, Steve? Is this the way it went before?
I think you were able to just share the PowerPoint presentation.
Can you see everything, or can you just see the PowerPoint now?
Looks like we can see everything surrounding it as well. Maybe if you went into present mode, we would just see the
Okay.
slides.
Let me stop this then. I don't want to present. Whoa, that just did something really weird. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just did like every screen. Hold on, I'm gonna try not to panic. Get me out of
Just
here.
temporarily stop presenting.
Okay. Sorry for the delay.
And then I think you might be prompted to open just a window, and you should be able to find your PowerPoint that way.
Turn off camera, present now. Well, let's see. Just it's only giving me the entire screen option at this moment for some reason. And it didn't seem to do that before. Let's see if I have more options. Well,
You were
Was it
successfully on the presentation. We could live with it if you just had that view. Want to try
Great.
that again?
yeah. I'm going to allow it, and I'm just going to jump into the full screen here, into the slideshow.
Yes.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Okay, so partnership specialist means I work with partner organizations, and we're trying to get the response rate up even without people out in the field. Although I'm available to be in the field if you have events coming up now that we're opening up. And just do remember that the census is the largest statistical agency in the United States and leading quality data provider. and that we're not just the 2020, the every 10-year decennial census, but there's 130 ongoing surveys, including the current population survey, for instance, labor statistics, housing statistic with things for HUD, with HUD, things about government and its extent and finances, the health of our economic system. And if you ever have questions about the surveys going on, you can go to this website. And if you ever think there's a fraud going on, you can use that telephone number. And remember that it's getting increasingly complex to do this huge decennial count, and that there's a 330 million people and 140 million housing units, and that this is mandated by the by the Constitution, and therefore lawful, and has started since 1790, and that it's actually never been safer, easier, and more important than it is now in the age of COVID and on online access to doing this. So remember that it's important because of the money going into this, going through the federal allocation system to your schools, and school lunches, and a variety of programs, healthcare and infrastructure, housing assistance, medical assistance, and rural programs that really are, this is the way the federal government does its policy in some respects, and that it's a benchmark data for all other population and housing and other types of data surveys, data research going on. And I'll show you how to use them too if you want to. I'll show that in a minute. We could lose political representation, which is an equity issue, if we don't do this count well. And remember that I'm under oath by a federal law called Title 13, and so is the agency. So we're never allowed to share anyone's personal identifying information. And I could go to jail and I could have large fines. And our agency never shares information with other courts or agencies. And that's a part of our legal status as an organization. And that people can go and do this online now. You've probably gotten your letters and or something on your door, which is why we should power on in Seneca, because everyone should be getting their people with don't even have postal addresses are getting a delivery of the census questionnaire choice. And it's very quick and easy to do. It's only 10 minutes or less to just do name, date, race, date of birth, and the phone numbers, just in case there should be some clarification needed. We'll never ask for money, social security, or anything on the behalf of a political party or a bank. And so that's fraud if you see that. And we have these language accesses right on the drop down and right on the phone number. People can call in all those different languages, and there's 59 non-English languages. So people can go on YouTube and get guides online, as well as they can call these numbers, and they can read online some guides that will help them fill in the census. And so these are the other languages. And this is the new schedule that we have, because remember, after people are self-responding, we would have ended in the end of July, and normally people go then on doors to help kind of scoop up the rest of the people who didn't respond on their own, even and so that's an operation that's been expanded, and there's a 120-day extension that's been proposed. I don't believe it's passed yet, and you can go online to 2020 census for complete operational adjustments. There's different aspects of this I could talk about, but I won't, because I know you have a long meeting. And this is, for instance, something you could use straight away if you're interested in the people living near you. I did a census tract right above your school district. School district's right below that teal lit up spot. But just as an example, anything more teal or dark blue, that's something that is estimated by this Rome data mapper from the census. Just Google Rome and census, and you'll come up with a map like this. If you click on any census tract, which is about 5,000 people approximately, you'll get all this information like you see on the right side. Like, you'll see if they have internet, you'll see the median income level, you'll see the languages spoken, if they, how many families with kids and stuff like that. So if you need to know things, this is a great tool. You can also search organizations in your tract that may be helpful to the census. And this shows us your response rate as of today, actually. So this is a live response tracker. Just Google census and live response tracker or response rates. And so I cut this out so you can see that peach area, these darker peach areas are lower response, and the blue ones are higher. And it kind of shows this southernmost track as being lower response, about 40%. Keep in mind, Seneca is 52%. The national average right now, we went over 60% for the national average. So we're actually, as a nation, doing okay, given even though COVID is happening. We're kind of on track with our response. It's just we don't have our field operations right now, and it won't happen until later in the summer. So we do want to press on as much as you can by word of mouth and some other ways I'll tell you. So just know you're a little less turned out for response in the lower half of the state. And yes, people can do this part time, 5 to 40 hours a week. It's still possible to throw in your application here to 2020 Census /jobs. They're well-paid jobs. It's a good organization to work for, and we need people from your neighborhood to be knocking on doors down the road. And we can help you if you want to partner together as a school district or as a school by giving you information, data analysis that you might need, or like workshops if you would like that. I'd be happy to set that up, and there's some contact information at the end of this presentation. And so these are our census handles if you want to go online and be sharing this type of information or get information. And that's me there. So you have my phone number, you have my email, and there's some data dissemination requests email there. And just the general program I'm a part of, which is the partnership program. So, and I can put my phone number in the chat box too. I do like phone just to get to know if your school, if you'd like to do something. I can give you just a couple examples with your questions. So I'm just gonna pop out of here, out of this, and come join you back on the meeting. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, some of the things that we can do as a school, for instance, we have some cool, like I send you a link and you can put a banner on your school website, which is very cute. And, it just has the website and it just is like a census logo, take the census, or you can create your own little things in Paint. I have sample drop-in messages. You have this message reminding people to take the census, maybe with a link in it. I will send Steven these things, and or just like reach out to me or say it's okay, I reach out to you, and I can give you these like attachments with sample messages, videos that are great for schools actually, like geared toward kids, like a minute video, 2-minute video. And then one more thing I wanted to tell you about is the SIS program, Statistics in Schools. These are highly underutilized materials. If you have summer school coming and you want to see beautiful maps that use census themes that are age appropriate, we have teaching modules, and I think Liz Machine has used them too, where there's teaching modules from pre-K all the way through high school. And so, like, if you're stumped and you have some summer programming and you want to keep, really people active and seeing some beautiful materials, I can send that link too if Steve hasn't already. So that's me, and I can help you get materials. Although there's a lot to print from online too, if you like actual flyers and posters. I have some big posters that I'm trying to get rid of actually, with school kids on it, which are nice. Because of the interruptions, they didn't seem appropriate to hang anymore. But we can still get them up, because they're beautiful. So if you know a library or someone who's willing to post big posters as well as small flyers, I have chip clips. We have different paraphernalia, and please invite us to present like this, and invite us to table at your summer events coming up. That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, thank you for the resources you've already sent. We did create a link on the front page of our website that collected those resources in one place. So we've gotten started on it anyway.
Oh, thank you. I'll make a note, and I'll take a little closer look. I was on your website for the first time today.
Yeah.
So thank you. Any questions from the quiet crowd? I know most of you are on mute, but
Jennifer, I'm the executive director for cooperative extension in the county. Could you go ahead and send me the packet of stuff? Bauder, BAUDER @cornell.edu.
sure. and then what was the second part of it?
At cornell.edu.
Oh, just
And we'll
Botter.
get some
Okay.
stuff up on our, yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And if you know, um, hard to count populations are renters, they are people of color, they are people with less access. And if you are working with groups or have access to groups that are harder to reach, um, do please contact me. And I'm just going to drop my number in the chat as well as thank you for that, Dave, for being
Oh, yep.
outgoing in that way. Here's my number one more time: 401-834-2289. And yeah, and we can be in conversation. Ave, anyone
Awesome.
else have a thought or about what you've seen on the maps as well?
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer. I'm Naomi Zuckerman. I'm the business administrator. We're doing a vote for the public this year, absentee ballots, as you probably know, for the school budget vote. And I'm just curious where your data is from. You said we're at 52%. Based on what data? Where are you getting the addresses and the information as far as who should be members of the community?
Oh, yeah. So I think New York in particular too had a really good address mapping process that happened before we started this huge count.
Mhm.
And so that's how we have formed address lists just like we do get the population count, like door to door. I believe people were busy with that, and it's an amalgam of what was from before and what's from the postal service, and then what is from that actual clarification. When there's new building, people actually go out and they clarify those addresses. And when we go for our update leave program, which is what I mentioned, when people don't have postal addresses in a city form, they will get a delivery on their door. Actually, we're doing address checking then as well. So that's that. We do it by mapping. By last census, you might have noticed some data from ACM, American Communities, ACS, that was in that data list I showed you from the Rome map. That's from the American Community Surveys. So because there's ongoing surveys all the time, I believe that's how they keep their mapping going and they get their people on those lists. Is from our ongoing surveys, from our GIS mapping, from the Postal Service. And do keep in mind that we're having address mapping as well. Governments are doing border and annexing surveys with us with the census all the time as well. So there, it's from the government. It's from a variety of sources that we get these huge lists of maps
Okay.
of addresses and people.
Thank you.
And what you're seeing on the response mapper, Naomi, is the self response. So anything that anyone has done online, particularly, you will see that. You will also see that number comparative to 2010. And but what you're seeing is a total self response as well, which is paper, phone, and internet. And so when we start going door to door, when not me myself, but when our field term team goes door to door, which is called non follow up, non response, when people don't self respond, that then won't be in the self response mapper. Or like when people are in prisons or in senior homes that are assisted, those will have those are being counted by our area census office in Syracuse, I think, for your side, or Rochester. I can't remember which one Seneca belongs to. And they have a separate operation as well. So those are the different methods that we're using to count. But the one that you saw, the self-response tracker, that was everybody responding online. Amazingly, we were able to see it live time. They update it virtually almost every day around 2 o'clock, I'm told.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm right over here in Ithaca, so if you want anything, and my colleague delivers things notoriously, so let me know your needs. I will send some stuff through to Ave and anyone else. And anything else before I depart?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great meeting, and it was lovely meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to receiving reports. We have superintendent report.
I'm going to hop off this screen. 1 second.
There.
Okay,
Hi.
I'm back. Okay, thank you. Please let me start by taking the opportunity to thank Shelley Reynolds for the incredible work she's been doing to keep on top of
Yes.
challenges of the budget vote this year. As we've been seeing the worst case scenarios play out for some districts across the state, given the high demand for a process and a short timeline, it's very much worth recognizing that we've navigated all of it with minimal problems. Maybe Shelley wouldn't say minimal. And the bulk of the credit goes to Shelley for being our point person on the whole operation. So thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Shelley.
So we thought we'd have results by now.
Yeah.
But one of the latest updates from the governor's office this week was to push out the deadline for mail-in ballots until next Tuesday, the 16th. So everything we had planned for the 9th will now happen on the 16th. The verification and counting process will begin at 5 p.m. and we'll communicate the results whenever we can get them finished that night. I'm just curious from the board's perspective, do you have any questions about what's going on with the budget vote right now?
Shelley, I noticed you said that already you've gotten more ballots than we had voters last year.
Yeah,
Quite
we're
a
at
lot
about
more?
we're at about 750 right now.
Whew.
This is probably
I don't know how-
this is probably an obvious question. Are we hand counting them or using the machine since they were the little fill in just the dot? I didn't know if what the election board was able to give us or not.
It is hand counting.
That's
Yes.
that's what I thought.
That's kind of tricky when you've got 6 names laying there. Each ballot's going to look different.
Yes.
Will all counting be streamed? No sound, but you'll be able to see it?
Yes.
Yes, that's our plan. Yes.
Shelley, do you expect to get many more than the 750 you have now?
I would say about maybe 50. That would be a rough estimate.
Yeah, I think that by publicizing the original June 9th date, you have to assume that most people who intended to vote have already sent their ballots in. That extension happened because so many districts across the state were really having problems leading up to June 9th. We had sort of wished that they'd extend it for those districts and not for everybody else who seemed to be in okay shape heading to the 9th, but that's not the way it went down. So, we'll see what comes in this week. It is important for people to understand, though, that we can't accept ballots anymore in person. They have to be mailed to us.
Steve, have you shared with the board the story of the Syracuse suburb that sent out 24,000 ballots with a typo?
I did include that in the in last week's memo. Yeah, they had sent out 24,000 ballots that said that instead of a $93 million budget, on their ballot it said that their budget was $93,000.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been nice.
At West Jenny, that's just the budget for the lacrosse team.
Yeah. Yeah. So they obviously couldn't let that go, so they had to redo all 24,000. That must have been quite a price tag for them.
Can you still pick up an absentee in the office?
No, the part of the executive order was to close that deadline at 5 p.m. yesterday. So the ballots that are out there are the ones that we're waiting to come back, and that's it. Okay, great. So in a spring of upheaval, it is astounding to watch what's taking place around the country and around the world. And especially when you consider the death of George Floyd happened just between our last board meeting and this one. I shared with you in the district already how painful it is for us not to be with our students during these historic times, and how ironic it is that at the very moment when our students are living through what could be the landmark events of their schooling years, we aren't seeing them in person to talk to and to learn together about it. Every community across this country is impacted, and in some ways, our role as educators is designed for these moments. The easy part is seeing injustice and agreeing it's wrong, but we all know there's much more difficult conversations to be had around the issue. And more than anything, we want to have them with our students. If there's anything we've learned during this closure period, it's how much well-being we derive simply from being together, and we can't wait to get back to that.
Yes.
So speaking of seeing our students, it was great for me last night to sit in on the Zoom meeting collaborative session with the South Seneca and the Trumansburg Jazz Bands, where Mr. Turkin finished it off by playing their rendition of Chicago's 25 or 6-4. I know that two of our board members, Melissa and Ave, had sons involved in that one. It was really a fun hour, and the final product is really impressive. I'm amazed they can pull that off with each musician at home. It was a cool experience to sit in on that. There isn't really much news to share in terms of new revenue projections from the state. We continue to hear about potential large aid reductions, but even a full month past the first look back period, which ended on April 30th, we don't have an update one way or the other. You've overseen a good process on this board in building our proposed 2021 budget. And if it passes the vote next week, we have a plan in case those reductions come. We'll have some new decisions to make if it doesn't pass, given even more uncertainty with how or if we would be able to do a revote. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, as they say. I'll include some details when I write to you this upcoming weekend, even just this afternoon. The governor did address this topic. So there'll be more news on the way in the next few days, I'm sure. At the last meeting, we talked briefly about projected numbers in the high school for kids at risk of not graduating and also those who may not have received course credit. And now that the semester is getting closer to completion, I'll be able to share some of that data also in the upcoming weekend memo. Peter mentioned to me that you'd like to hear an update on our hiring process this spring, especially after implementing some of the recommendations from the board's hiring committee this year. As expected, we are conducting interviews for new positions by video conference, but our committees for each position have been healthy ones, and the teams are reporting excitement with each new hire, two of whom are on tonight's agenda. Heather Mott now has responses for the advertisements for each of our varsity positions, and we're forming the committees to do interviews for some of those positions, and those will convene in the next couple of weeks. Finally, there has been a ton of discussion this week on our commencement plans after another big announcement by the governor that happened just this past Sunday. Schools are now permitted to host an outdoor, socially distanced graduation ceremony or a gathering not to exceed 150 people. Even for a school our size, this is a challenging number. Under those conditions, each graduate would only be able to invite 2 guests. The class itself is pretty split on the prospects of taking advantage of this opportunity on our regularly planned weekend, or maybe holding out for a higher permissible number later on in the summer. We've even talked about holding 2 ceremonies on one day, with all the graduates invited to both of them and the families to one or the other, which would double the number of guests to 4 each. Remember that schools still have the option of a ceremony that is quote unquote drive-in or drive-through, where people participating would remain in their cars. If you did that model, there is no maximum crowd number. So as many people that want to come could come under those circumstances. So far, the feedback from the class has not been receptive to that idea. The board, in your capacity as elected representatives of the community, has often taken some ownership of our graduation ceremonies in the past. So I do want to take the time to hear if any of you have thoughts you'd be willing to share on the subject.
I have thought about it a lot. And I would like to, I hope the kids can go wait a longer time and then we can have a larger crowd. Because I mean, you know, if you can only have 150, the board might as well stay home. That way they could have at least 7 more, 9 more, or whatever. You know, I just, you know, I feel like I always love to go to the graduation, be a part of it, but I can't see taking a parent's or grandparent's place because I'm on the board.
Sure.
We kind of need to think about it too, as like, if we have an indoor ceremony, there are limitations.
True.
Could think about it kind of from that perspective as well. If we have an indoor ceremony, do we usually let the kids have 2 people or 4 people each? What's the limitation there?
So the process we use on an indoor ceremony is to count the seats and count the graduates and distribute as many possible tickets as the capacity of the auditorium can handle. And then from there, we do a lot of communication with grads about how many they intend to bring. And then sometimes we can trade the tickets a little bit, but we do have a maximum capacity in the auditorium. Of course, this year, indoor ceremonies are not even on the table right now. But that's the way that we handle that for our auditorium. It typically, because the capacity is pretty good in the auditorium, each graduate might get 6 or 7 tickets initially. And then because some graduates only want to bring 1 or 2, you know, it often does work out that we don't have to turn anybody away who wants to be there.
I'm just thinking it's a similar way of thinking. People just
Sure.
need to understand. I'm not saying it's an equivalent 5 or 6 people, but
Right. Right.
What is the latest that the senior class itself would like to have?
They're split. We're hearing opinions in both directions. One, you know, some of them would prefer to wait and see if we can get a larger crowd. But it seems as if the momentum is heading towards, let's get something done on the weekend that we plan. I think people are also fearful of the unknown heading into the summertime. There's no guarantee it won't go in the other direction. So, you know, it seems as if a lot of the momentum in the class is to try to grab the opportunity of that weekend, but it's just a matter of the logistics of the way that we pull that off. You know, even that prospect of doing 2 separate ceremonies seems to be something that people are intrigued by, because it would allow us to double the number of guests, which is, you know, favorable.
Would it be a good idea to try to do rain dates? So plan one if you can't do it the next day or next evening or evening day, whatever.
Yeah. During our planning meetings, one of the things we've said is if we go for it on this weekend with no ability to go indoors, we will take the opportunity of whichever part of whichever day is rain free. So people would have to be ready to pivot. If it's raining in the morning, then we'd go in the afternoon. And if it's raining all day, we would go the next day. So there's even a little bit of momentum for the idea of turning the lights on and doing it in the evening. So, you know, if our first option was Friday night under the lights, then that would relieve more time for alternate rain possibilities through the weekend. And because we've never done that before, some of the class, I think, likes that idea.
You have 2 Bobs right here, bobbing up and down.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, Steve, I think I actually like the idea of doing 2 ceremonies, trying to keep it on the current weekend, just to get it done and not pushed out, because I think there's too much unknown as we get into the summer.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think that just gives us seniors the best opportunity to have much family there as we can allow. And I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are going to have a lot of family traveling in yet, anyway. So I think it's only family that's local.
Right. Right.
I wouldn't be convinced of that. As a parent of a senior, and our vote was to wait until July when you might have a larger crowd. I think some of the stuff that Steve pointed out is going to be a real issue. We got a reaction to that. You're going to have people saying, screw you, I'm bringing as many people as I want, in which case we're going to have to figure out how we deal with that. And it's just, I would say if you're going to try to do it with two ceremonies, you don't do it twice. You split the class in half if you want to try to allow for more people to come. It just makes a little bit more sense. Now, how you do that, I don't know. Whether you let the graduates kind of say, who do you want to be with, and see what you can do with that. Yeah, I know, Melissa. It's like, although when I graduated from Hobart, we had this really weird thing. We did a chain of, you signed up to who you wanted to get your diploma from. That was like so you didn't get it from the president necessarily. It was like, so you had this group of friends that were kind of all in a row. And that may be one way to do it, or you just randomly assign it, which isn't going to thrill people either. The whole thing obviously is, we're making it up as we go to whatever works best. But to me, it would make, given how things are slowly opening, I would think that by the end of July, you're going to have probably at least 250 people you're going to be able to have someplace. Actually, this will give us an idea. Tomorrow, I know that the group that's running Empire Farm Days are going to be meeting with the county and the state to try to get the permits. So by noon, presumably, we will know whether they have approved an event a larger event that will take place at the end of July. I'm assuming if they say no to that, then yeah, you're probably back to the go ahead. Just if you want to try to go for June, because it's going to be the same number. But it again goes back to those security issues I think we're going to have.
Sure.
The gamble that we take with waiting and hoping that's going to work is we just don't know for a few more days, since there were so many breakouts of protests in our state actually, and in the city's mass groups, how COVID may, there's talk of COVID maybe coming back up again, and what the governor may do. So it's a gamble either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will say that the idea of graduation ceremonies is getting a lot of attention, obviously, as the dates get closer to the end of June. The governor, he does respond to pressure in certain ways, maybe unpredictable ways, but we've got, today is June 10th, and there's 16, 17 more days before that weekend, and I had a conversation yesterday with Senator Helming in the afternoon on this topic. Was one of the things that we talked about, and she assured me that our representatives are trying as hard as they can to expand that number, and everything has been so unpredictable from day to day that what we know today might be very different from what we know next week. So it could be even that something might change before the end of the month, and make it easier on us. I hope that's the case. One thing that's for sure is that there seems to be a lot of empathy for our seniors this spring. Even in the meetings that I've had with the business leaders and the politicians, one thing that everybody agrees on is that they feel bad for our senior classes across high schools across the state and the country losing this portion of their school year that is so special. So, our next meeting, we thought maybe we would meet next Monday, but we've moved that up so that we're going to meet on Friday to revisit where we're at and see if we can come up with a definitive plan and in order time to communicate to everybody. I do appreciate the input. Every bit helps. And that'll be it for me, Peter.
Okay. You go back to the presentation.
Yep, I'm getting there.
All right. All right. I think we had administrative reports last meeting.
Yep.
So we have some supervisor reports. We had the facilities report, the food services report, and the transportation report.
I have a question about the transportation report.
Yes.
I've noticed the note that there were 3 new buses that have been purchased that arrived. I assume this is not coming out of the 400,000 that's on the ballot. In other words,
Naomi,
in terms of how they were paid for.
Yes, Naomi, can you talk about that?
Yes. So what's on the ballot is for the year 2021, so the next year, and dependent on whether there are cutbacks from the state regarding state aid. So no, the purchase that they're making now was the approved budget for 1920. They just purchased at the end of the year, and we've done that each year.
Okay, they seem to have a lot of new features, right?
Yes, and a lot of safety features, obviously, which we're most interested in.
Good.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. Board member reports.
I just want to go on the record to say what a wonderful job I think Sean Green has been doing as the guidance counselor. He actually called Chamberlain on a Sunday for talking about some college stuff that he was offering to help with to set up an audit and things. And I am just incredibly impressed. Just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you.
Thanks, Avi is.
That seems to be the consensus opinion. He's putting in an unbelievable amount of hours.
It is a welcome change to have somebody who believes that you work until the job gets done and not just worried about what his contracted hours are.
Great. All right. Moving on to board committee reports. I don't know if we had any committee meetings.
Yes.
We had
Yeah, we
a
did.
meeting of the special ed committee. Mary, do you want to report on that?
You go ahead.
All right. Well, we had the usual enormous amount of detail provided by Stacy in terms of the meetings that she's held and the number of changes to the individual students. And I must say that, she does a fabulous job all year long, but I think her job is particularly difficult given the lockdown and the students at home and so forth. But it was a good report.
One thing that she mentioned that I have noticed and maybe have changed, she's talking about how the special ed summer school that was going to be a virtual school, okay? And she said the high school kids just said they aren't going to do it. And I guess that got to the powers that be in Albany, because I was reading that now the summer school for special ed can be at face.
That's true. That was another one of the governor's Sunday announcements, was that summer school for special ed students may be in person. So we haven't made that decision yet, but it is allowable to do it if we so choose.
All right. Do we have any other committees? Nope. All right. Moving on to new business. May I have a motion to accept the resignation of Christina Silverman from the position of 7th, 8th grade science teacher effective June 30th, 2020?
So moved, Melissa.
Second, Dave.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays? All right. May I have a motion to appoint Tara Berkmeyer to the 4-year probationary position of 1.0 elementary teacher under the teachers bargaining unit effective July 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2024.
So moved, Mary.
Second, Brenda.
Discussion?
Just want to take the opportunity to welcome Tara. I got to do that in person by video conference. And this is the position that will be for the 4th grade classroom.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. All right. May I have a motion to appoint Colleen Shea to the 4-year probationary position of 1.0 special education teacher under the teachers bargaining unit effective July 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2024.
So moved, Mary.
Second, Melissa.
Discussion?
Also, welcome to Colleen. She comes with stellar recommendations and some impressive experience. So we're bringing a veteran teacher to our staff here.
Great.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right. May I have a motion to approve the summer cleaners as listed below?
So moved, Ryan.
Second, Dave.
Discussion?
As everybody knows, as we make our preparations for eventual reopening someday, it's especially important that we keep our buildings clean and disinfected. And so this summer cleaning staff will be plenty busy over the summer.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nays? All right. May I have a motion to accept the CSE recommendations?
So
So
moved,
moved,
Mary.
Ralph.
Second, Mary.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. May I have a motion to accept the policy 5676 for the first reading?
So moved, Brenda.
Second, Melissa.
Discussion?
As I shared with you, this policy will get us into compliance with new Education Law 2D on the subject of data privacy. And so I've included the policy here. It's also in the policy section under drafts for you to review in time for final approval at the next meeting.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right. May I have a motion to approve the budget transfers as listed?
So
So
moved,
moved, Brenda.
Dave.
Second, Brenda.
Discussion?
So this is a budget transfer we do every year. Just a reminder that BOCES charges us every May. There's a series of several billings that they'll do, but the bulk of it is in May. And this is the time that we're billed actual against what we budgeted originally. So one of the plans we had for 2021 was to pre-purchase as much as we could. So that's where you see some of the increases, especially in the 1670 code, because we did a lot of purchases through CTS in advance.
Is the amount of 23,000 related to the ballot preparation and mailing?
It would include that as well, yes.
I heard that was roughly the amount.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, it's in several different categories depending on what it is, and it's not all through BOCES. So that's why you won't see it all there, Ralph.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right. May I have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of a particular person?
Excuse me. Do we really need to vote on those, the president, the vice president, and the second vice president of the 4 counties, because it's gonna be for their annual meeting, which is before we have our next meeting?
Mary, I'll look at that. I'll look at the timeline for it. I don't believe that we need to do that by board motion. In the past, we've always done it just by voice vote at the annual meeting.
Okay.
So I'll investigate the particulars for that.
That's what they told me, that's all I know.
I think
Okay.
you can go online and vote on there. I think they sent an email to all of us.
I'll connect with Sue on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
So
All right,
Brenda.
so we will all move to the other meeting and leave this meeting, and then we will return when we're done in executive.
Did we do a motion?
I don't think you voted on the motion
We
yet.
didn't vote on it yet.
No.
So Brenda moved. I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And may the force be with us as we try to actually do this successfully.
That's right.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. We'll need it.
Let me know if you need help.
Okay, how do I get out of this meeting? Close it, just punch up here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ralph, you need to exit. Did you do it?
Where's the exit button?
You could just use the X at the top, or if you scroll to the bottom of your screen, you should see like a phone to hang up, an icon that looks like a phone. There you go. Okay, so is Melissa Laverack still here?
She is still listed in the meeting. She's gone now.
There she goes. Okay. So Naomi, Tim, Missy, you guys could be done. Denny and I at least are going to hang out and wait for them to come out of executive session and exit the meeting. You guys can be done.
Okay.
Okay, good night.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Good night.
Nice banner, Denny.
Yeah, spur of the moment.
You amaze me all the time.
I like that. So the way it was really supposed to work, they're supposed to transition back and forth, but it looks like they're not doing that.
By the way, I saw a banner pop up and I thought it was asking me if I was okay with giving permission for it to be live streamed. I had no idea I was starting the live stream when
Yeah.
I clicked on that.
Mary
So I'll
Church
have to be
did the
more
same
careful about
thing.
that. I don't think I've seen that before.
I don't remember it happening before, but Mary Church did the same thing when she entered the meeting the first time.
Yeah, so it's still live streaming now.
It has been streaming the whole time. It wasn't stopped.
Yeah, great.
But it just means it started a little early. The reason not to do that is that the small talk, I mean, right now our small talk is being live streamed. But the beginning small talk, we usually try and avoid streaming that and just stream from the beginning of the meeting.
I didn't realize I had started the live streaming until you made a comment.
Yeah. Again, I don't remember it coming up for other people before either, but it did happen this time for Mary and for you. So Google may have made a change. We don't know. Or Steve may have set it up slightly differently. I'm not sure of that either. Now I can't go back a tab. I wonder why. So Steve had asked about this, if somebody joining the meeting during the executive session would know what was going on. So we made this spot for that.
Hey, Steve. I seem to be hanging out. I seem to be hanging out in a waiting room. On my other, yeah. It just keeps spinning and says someone will let you in momentarily.
Oh boy, I hope it's not me that has to let you in because I'm not in that meeting.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know. Yeah. So oh well.
Let me call Peter and see if they need me to hop in just in order to let people in.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'll call Peter.
Alrighty.
Abe, are you logged into your southseneca.org account?
No, I just went off of the no.
Well, that's probably why.
You know, this whole thing, I just gotta say, I'm frustrating here. The Google shit is worthless. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Sorry. I will do my best to get. I mean, it lets me into this other one just using the other account. So I will do my best to get into this, and I'm not happy. All right, this is dumb.
take me a minute. Are those eagles?
Falcons.
Falcons, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was a little gruesome there for a minute. It was like a slaughter.
Oh dear.
Oh,
It's interesting to watch how she dishes it out sometimes. A few people seem to be favored. If they work a little bit harder, they get a lot more.
Do you need the agenda on the screen, Peter, or are you good? You gotta unmute, Peter.
Oh, all right, that would help. All right. Do I need to exit the executive session? A motion to exit?
Oh, I thought you would do that before you came back.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we wouldn't tell you. We couldn't tell you anyway. So
That's
yeah,
right.
we did.
We did. Wasn't sure if we needed that on public record, but we did.
No. Okay.
We're all here anyway.
All right. May I have a motion to end the meeting?
Melissa.
Second, Brenda.
Second. There we go. You're good, Brenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye,
All right. Thank
So
you.
long.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good.
Mike
Thank
and Denny,
you.
hope you didn't take anything personally.
I wish I could take that personally.
Take care.